In this video, we're going to explore adding and subtracting radicals. To do that, we're going to start by looking at like terms and how to combine those. So we have in our word paper 3x plus 5x, and we know if we have 3x's and we add 5 more, that we'll end up having 8x's. Same thing with the y's here. If we have 19y and we take away 13y, we'll end up with 6y's. And for the k's, if we take 16, add 9, and then take away 15, we end up with 10. Okay. Now, if you're looking at the second line, you might have noticed that the numbers are the same, the 3, the 5, the 19, the negative 13, the 16, the 9, and the negative 15. But instead of variables, we now have radicals. Well, our process is going to be the same. We're going to take those expressions, 3 square root of 2 and 5 square root of 2, and put the coefficients together and leave the remaining part the same. So 3 root 2 and 5 root 2, now we have 8 of those root 2's. If we had 19 square root of 3's and we took away 13, we're left with 6 square root of 3's. And if we have 16 square root of 5 and we add 9 square root of 5, we have 25 of those. Taking away 15 leaves us with 10 square root of 5's. So in activity 1, we're going to make this a rule and how we actually go ahead and combine like terms. But essentially what we're looking for is they have to have like radicands. So if we have the square root of, or 2 square root of 5 and 7 square root of 5, we can put those together because they have the same radicand. And to do that, we just add the coefficients in front. So as quick examples, we have all these listed out here. This is a 29 root 3, 11, because again, remember there's a 1 out in front of there. And then these together, we end up getting 15 root 2. We can also do it before we distribute. We can combine like terms within parentheses and then distribute, and it helps us out a little bit. So just a couple quick ones here. Let's do, let's do number 1, 8 root 10 minus 5 root 10. So if we have 8 of them and we take away 5, we're left with 3 of them. If we looked at number 3, 4 square root of 5, we take away 5, that would be negative 1 square root of 5. And if you want, you can write the 1 in front. We generally don't, just the way it works out. Let's do number 6 because we're going to combine first. So I'm going to take 4 root 5 and 5 root 5. That's going to give me 9 root 5. And then we're going to multiply that out. So there's a 1 out in front of the root 2. So this would give us 9 square root of 10. Now if you distributed, you would get 4 root 10 plus 5 root 10. And if you put those together, you get the same thing. So if you don't recognize it, you can combine first. That's perfectly fine. Okay, so again, that's wonderful. That's great. Let's do one more. Why not? 3 root 11 minus 5 root 11 is negative 2 root 11, and then add 7, we get 5 square root 11. So if they have the same radical, pretty straightforward. Just add or subtract the numbers in front, and then go from there. But unfortunately, that's not always going to be the case. Sometimes we're going to get expressions that need to be simplified first, and then potentially we're going to put expressions together if they have the same radicands. So number 1, we have the square root of 8 plus the square root of 32. So to simplify this, I'm going to simplify both of them. The square root of 8, I'm going to break that down to 4 and 2. And 32, I'm going to break down to 16 and 2. The square root of 4 is 2, so this becomes 2 root 2. The square root of 16 is 4, so that's 4 root 2. And when I add those together, they do have like radicands, so I can put them together. We end up with 6 square root of 2. No different on number 3. Number 3, we have just numbers out in front, but our process is still the same. We want to simplify this expression first. So the square root of 12, I'm going to break that down to 4 and 3. And 48, I'm going to make 16 and 3. So this becomes a 2 times 5 is 10 square root of 3. Square root of 16 becomes 4 times 7 is 28 square root of 3. And then combining our like terms, we'll have 38 square root of 3. On number 6, we have 3 terms. Doesn't change anything, just more terms to add. So 5 square root of 24, we're going to make that a 4 and a 6. Square root of 3, we're going to make that, square root of 54, we're going to make that a 9 and a 6. And the square root of 16, we can just make that 4. So at this point, I'm going to break the square root of 4 down into 2. Times 5 is 10. Square root of 9 is 3. Times 3 is 9. And then I can put these together because they're like terms. They have the same radicand. So I'm going to have 19 square root of 6 minus 4. And that's all I can do. I can't put the 4 together with the 19 because the 4 doesn't have a radical of 6. So they are not considered like terms. They're just kind of there. And so that's a basic idea of adding and subtracting radicals. You first want to simplify radicals where appropriate. And then if they are like radicals, you can add them together or subtract them by taking a look at the coefficients. So again, take the numbers in front, add them, subtract them, depending on what the problem does. If they're not like radicals, though, you can't put them together.